Board. I am here with Friday columnist on Star City Games, Bennie Smith. Bennie,
hello.
Thanks for joining me in the sideboard. And you've brought something, of course. You know, Bennie, he's going to bring something absurd to the table, and this is a different breed of trading post deck. Tell me a little bit about your deck.
People who read my columns know I have a very fondness for Glissa the Trader. So I thought when Trader Post came out that Glissa and Trading Post was a match made in heaven. So I went to work from there. Yeah,
Trading Post is a card that Brad Nelson's been talking a lot about. Yep. You've been talking about. Yep. I'm sure Flores, with his love of Druidic Satchel,
right.
is also a big fan of the Trading Post. And so, you've sort of built it around the interaction with Glissa, really,
right.
which
yep.
allows you to reuse all of your artifacts.
Yes.
And you've got some of the normal things that you'd see in a Trading Post deck, like Wormcoil Engine and Phyrexian Metamorph. But you've also got a couple, let's say, not so traditional things you would find in Trading Post decks. The first one I'm going to point out here is Hex Parasite. Tell me a little bit about why Hex Parasite is in your deck.
Well, I'm a big fan of Hex Parasite. I've always had trouble with Planeswalkers, so Hex Parasite helps with that. It's an artifact that you can recur with Glissa. You can sack to Trading Post to do fun stuff with, and occasionally it's clutch. It'll suck all the loyalty off of a Planeswalker if you need it. It can also remove 0 counters from a
Phantasmal image. Sure.
So it can nuke Phantasmal images.
Excellent.
So occasionally I've had it where I've ratcheted up the bomb that I needed to do something with, but then they played a bunch of tokens, so I've been able to kind of reset the
Right.
Ratchet
I was about
Bomb.
to ask you about Ratchet Bomb, because Ratchet Bomb was one of the cards when Glissa first came out.
Right.
That was really basically, oh man, Glissa's interaction with Ratchet Bomb is so good.
Yep.
How is no one ever going to not run this combination?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
No one really has, and so you're really putting them together here.
Yeah, Ratchet Bomb and Glissa. I mean, a lot of decks are playing token creatures, so I thought it was time to try Ratchet Bomb out again.
Right.
I had 4 originally, but I ended up moving 1 to the board and putting in a Mortar Pod. So it fills a similar space. But
flawless segue. Let's talk about your sideboard. You got a couple interesting choices in your sideboard. I think I see a package of some kind here that you bring in with Kuldotha Forgemaster and Blightsteel Colossus, I assume? Yes. So tell me a little bit about what you bring these cards in against.
All right. Well, I had the Forgemaster and the Blightsteel Colossus in the main deck for a little while, mainly because tinkering into Blightsteel is pretty crazy.
Sure.
I mean, it'll end games quick, but occasionally you'll draw that Colossus, and he's a pain. What do you do when you have him in your hand?
Well, guess what?
Now you have Trading Post
to
ditch it. But still, it was a little clunky and a little slow for the main deck, so I moved it to the sideboard, and I'm bringing it in against kind of slower, maybe other mid-range decks as a way to finish the game off.
Now, another one that I bet interacts really favorably with Glissa is Sylvok Replica.
Yes.
So you bring those in against Birthing Pod decks.
Yes, Birthing Pod decks.
Swords.
It's definitely, I've brought it in against some swords today.
Yeah, there's a lot of applications for that, almost to the point where you could almost main deck it. And of course, you're running everybody's favorite Elf Shaman.
Yes.
Elvish Visionary to hold it all together. It's the glue,
yep.
I assume, to just be able to survive.
The deck generally has a handful of cards the whole game, so it's nice to have the options, and the Elvish Visionary helps push it together. Glissa's an elf, that's an elf, so I've been able to force Glissa down with Cavern of Souls.
Right, you actually got a decent number of elves in the deck, so I mean, 8 is quite all right when you're trying to put black, green, green on the table, which
right.
I imagine can be somewhat difficult.
And the rest of the creatures are colorless, so
right.
It's fine.
So it always names elf.
It generally will name elf, but occasionally I've named worm.
Oh, just to be not countered?
To force that guy down. I've named it Shapeshifter.
Sure.
To make sure that
Phyrexian Metamorph can come in.
You can pay the blue mana off that, so that's come into play a few times. I've named Beast for the Thragtusk.
Haven't named Insect yet for the Hex Parasite?
No, I haven't had to do that yet.
All right. Well, This looks like this is a great trading post deck. This looks like a blast to play. Benny, thank you so much for joining me in the sideboard.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And if you want to play this deck, we'll put a list up on the website. And but right now we're going to toss to a commercial break here at Star City Games, Washington D.C.
Thanks for watching.
SCG Live is brought to you by StarCityGames.com, and in case you haven't heard, you can now qualify for a StarCityGames.com invitational through invitational qualifiers held at your local gaming store. Whether you're a player looking for an invitational qualifier near you, or a store owner interested in hosting one of these exciting events, you can learn more by emailing scgiq@StarCityGames.com or visiting StarCityGames.com/IQ.
If you do, damned if you do. I mean, what do you do with your Dan? I mean, like, oh, he didn't activate the Ink Moth. He's going to be all in on this? I mean, whatever. 2 locusts gain DI life, right?
Yeah, that's
respectable
what he did. So
play.
Titan Swings gets 2 more Glimmer Posts, right? Glimmer Void is the land that was printed in Mirrodin. I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people get that one mixed up. So, I think Dan's leaving up 6, right? Making sure he can leave up 6. That's what I'd do. I mean, I think I would have considered activating the Ink Moth Nexus, though.